Hello, I'm Dr. Richard Abels, Professor Emeritus from the United States Naval Academy. And what I'd like to talk to you about today is the reign of Æthelred II, known as Æthelred the Unready, and the second round of Viking Wars, the Viking Wars which resulted in the Danish conquest of England. Now, I say that Æthelred was unfortunate. He was unfortunate because he coincided with this new. It wasn't his fault the Vikings came back. He was also unfortunate because he had one of the most unfortunate successions to the throne. Æthelred became king as a child. Probably was around the age of 12. And he became king because in 978, his older brother, who was probably about 15 or 16, Edward, who becomes called Edward the Martyr, became the martyr because he had been murdered. And he had been murdered on an estate that belonged to his younger half-brother, Æthelred, and that was administered by Æthelred's mother, the widow of King Edgar, a woman by the name of Alfred. Later, medieval chroniclers portray this as being the conspiracy that was launched by Alfred, that she was basically Lady Macbeth without Macbeth, and she was the person responsible. In fact, by the early 13th century, she had not only become a wicked stepmother, she had become an honest-to-God witch in these. And it's really unfair. I mean, she had been one of the greatest supporters of the Benedictine reform during the reign of her husband, Edgar. She was a true supporter of the church. She was also a supporter of her son. And Æthelred had a claim to the throne. Edgar became king because Æthelred was just simply too young to be king. And Edward turned out not to be a good king. He turned out to be basically a really bratty teenager. He had a tendency of screaming at his advisors when they contradicted him, and he also had a tendency of hitting them. He basically was not a very nice kid. And I think what he did was he created buyer's remorse among the great nobility who had selected him. He was too weak to be able to impose his authority upon the nobles, and the result of that were that nobles who had lost land during the Benedictine reform to these new Benedictine monasteries decided it was an opportunity to grab the land back, and they were being contested by other nobles who were defending them. It was really kind of chaotic. Mm-hmm. And so when Edward was murdered, what strikes me about the murder is two things. One is Edward never traveled anywhere without a retinue of his followers. There is no evidence at all that his followers did anything to protect him. Nor is there any evidence that any of his followers were killed. Only the king was killed. The other thing was nobody was ever punished.
Okay.
You can't have the murder of a king who's surrounded by his entourage without knowing who the murderers were. Yeah. The fact that the murderers never were punished is a real good indication that they had at least the assent of the higher-ups. The consequence of this was that Æthelred became the only one who really could legitimately be king. Kings were quote-unquote elected, but they came from the house of Alfred, and he was really the only candidate. There was a year hiatus, however, between the death of his brother and him being crowned, because the Archbishop Dunstan was really pissed about the murder of an anointed king. And even though Edward had not been a real great protector of the church and had been really a nasty little piece of work, the fact that he had been murdered and he was anointed king turned him into Edward the Martyr.
Wow.
He became a Christian martyr. He got a much better nickname than Edward the Brat. So Dunstan refused to crown Æthelred as king until the body of the late king had been found. And so there was a search for the body of the late king. It was found. It was found by one of the real strong supporters of Æthelred, a man who I believe probably had a hand in the martyrdom, the elderman Æthelred of Mercia, who found it because of a divine light which pointed the way to the body, which turned out to be completely uncorrupted after a year. Now, there's a problem here. Archbishop Wulfstan, in the Sermon of the Wolf, who should have known about the stuff, tells us that the body of Edward had been burnt.
Okay.
The body, however, that was recovered and now given a proper burial, this body was not burnt. In fact, it was in perfect condition. So, what I suspect is Æthelred just simply found someone who looked a bit like Edward, brought the body back, and the body got buried, now honorably, and was now being venerated, which meant that Dunstan could crown Æthelred, the 12-year-old, as king. And so Æthelred became king, but there's really a regency. It's a regency of Æthelred, the elderman, Ælfrith, the queen mother, and Bishop Æthelwold of Winchester, who is one of the great Benedictine reformers and was one of this triumvirate. Probably not a good word since one of them was a woman. This troika of rulers, and they ruled well. I mean, we can call this the reign of Æthelred the Peacekeeper, or at least the reign of the peacekeeping regency. But when Æthelred came of age, one of the very first things he did was he basically sent his mother away, and he waited until the deaths of both Æthelred and Æthelwold before he took over. And when he took over, he basically ignored everything that Æthelwold had said. He seized land from the monasteries, and he didn't act very well. That coincided with the return of Vikings.
Of course it did.